and welcome to our session on current affairs. In this session on weekly current affairs, we shall be discussing about all the latest events and happenings that have taken place from 31st of October till 3rd of November 2023. So, what are the various events that have taken place in this span from 31st of October till 3rd of November? The first important current event or the happening was the United Nations Forum on Forests, country-led initiative hosted by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, India. India has hosted a country-led initiative to contribute towards the discussions at the United Nations Forum on Forests, which is scheduled to be held at New York in 2024. This session of the United Nations Forest Forum or the United Nations Forum on Forests is scheduled to be held in New York in next year 2024. In that respect, Indian government and the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has hosted a country-led initiative to contribute towards the discussions that can be taken up in that session in New York in 2024. Country-led initiative. What is this country-led initiative of the United Nations Forum on Forests? Country-led initiative will focus on two themes or two thematic areas, namely forest fires and wildfires and forest certification. And the second important theme is sustainable forest management or SFM. Forest fires, wildfires and forest certification is the one important theme of the country-led initiative, and the second important theme is sustainable forest management or SFM. These are the two themes of the country-led initiative of United Nations Forum on Forests or UNFF. This forum and the discussions that takes place in this forum is regarding the implementation of sustainable forest management and also the United Nations strategic plan for forests. So, all the discussions that are going to take place in the UN Forum on Forests is oriented towards the implementation of the sustainable forest management as one of the important themes, and also for the implementation of the United Nations strategic plan for forests or UNSPF, UN strategic plan for forests. To implement these two themes, the discussions are held at the UN Forum on Forests. The United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests, covering the span of 2017 to 2030, adopted by the United Nations General Assembly. This United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests 2017 to 2023, 2017 to 2030 has 6 global forest goals and 26 associated or related targets, which are voluntary and also universal. These are not mandatory targets that needs to be achieved by all the member countries. These are only voluntary targets and it are universally applicable. It has a total of 6 global forest goals and 26 associated or related targets to it. What is sustainable forest management? It ensures that the forests supply goods and services, meeting both the needs of the present and also the future generations. Sustainable forest management ensures that the forests, the global forests, supply goods and services that can meet the needs of both the present and also the future generations. United Nations Forest Instrument encourages sustainable forest management through voluntary certification systems or other appropriate measures and mechanisms in a transparent manner. The UN Forest Instrument UNFI encourages the implementation of sustainable forest management through voluntary certification systems and other appropriate mechanisms and measures in a fair and transparent manner. What is forest certification that we are talking about? Forest certification is a mechanism for forest monitoring, tracing and labeling the forest products, goods, where the quality of the forest management is judged against a series of agreed standards. So, forest certification is basically a mechanism which can standardize the parameters with respect to the forest monitoring, tracing and labeling of the forest products or goods, where the quality of the forest management is judged against a series of agreed upon standards. Between 2010 and 2021, in a span of 10 years, the area of forest land under certification schemes increased by 35%. According to a report, the area of forest land that was covered under certification schemes has increased by 35% in a span of 10 years between 2010 and 2021. What is the need for forest certification? It ensures sustainable forest management and also prevents forest degradation or deforestation. It also increases the value of forests by building consumer trust. It also acts as a prerequisite for doing business. These are the important needs or the requirements of forest certification. Now, what are the challenges that are accompanied with forest certification? Excessive costs that are incurred for the certification process, audit and compliance issues, inaccessibility to forest and owners in remote regions, etc. Some of the challenges or impediments towards the execution or implementation of forest certification include excessive costs of certification, high costs of certification, the audit and compliance issues, and also the inaccessibility to forest owners in remote and corner areas. Now, what is the United Nations Forum on Forests or the UN Forum on Forests? Some background information of this UN Forum on Forests is a good to know information from the point of view of exams. The Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, also known as ECOSOC, in 2000 has established the UN Forum on Forests as a subsidiary body within it. So, the Economic and Social Council of the UN, ECOSOC, in 2000 has established the UN Forum on Forests as one of its subsidiary bodies. The UN Forum on Forests promotes the effective management, conservation and sustainable development of all types and forms of forests, and also to strengthen the long-term political commitments towards achieving these objectives. All the member states of the United Nations, including India and other specialized agencies of the United Nations, are the members of UN Forum on Forests. So, UN Forum on Forests and a country-led initiative is hosted by the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change in India to contribute towards the discussions for the UN Forum on Forests in New York that is scheduled to happen in 2024. Next important event, United Nations Environment Programme or UN Environment Programme has announced Champions of the Earth Award for 2023. Champions of the Earth Award for 2023 is awarded by the UN Environment Programme. Champions of the Earth Award honors individuals, groups, associations and organizations whose actions and contributions have a transformative impact on the environment. The UN Environment Programme honors or recognizes all those individuals, associations and groupings or organizations whose actions and contributions have a transformative and a positive impact on the environment and ecology. This award, this Champions of the Earth Award, is honored or awarded annually, and this was first established in 2005. Champions of the Earth Award is the United Nations highest environmental honor or highest environmental award. which recognizes outstanding leaders from government, civil society and also not-for-profit or private sector. So, every individual, every community, every organization and grouping, be it belonging to either the government or civil society or private sector or not-for-profit sector, are considered for granting or awarding this Champions of the Earth Award by the UN Environment Program, and it is an annual affair. It was first awarded in the year 2005. To eliminate plastic pollution 2023, the 2023 Champions of the Earth Award has recognized 4 important categories of awardees. The first important category is the Policy Leadership category. Mayor Josefina Belmont of Quezon City of Philippines was awarded with this Champions of the Earth Award for eliminating plastic pollution. Josefina Belmont of Philippines was awarded this award for banning single-use plastics and for implementing trade-in programs for plastic pollution, etc. And in the Inspiration and Action category, Ellen MacArthur Foundation of United Kingdom was awarded with this Champions of the Earth Award 2023 for mainstreaming the life cycle approach, including for plastics. The third important category is Blue Circle category, and this award was honored to China, which used blockchain technology and Internet of Things to track and monitor the life cycle of the plastic pollution. Jose Manuel Moller of Chile, who is the founder of social enterprise Algramo, has dedicated his life to providing refill services that reduce plastic pollution and lower everyday essential costs. And this was awarded in the category of Entrepreneurial Vision category. Under the Science and Innovation category, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research of South Africa has used cutting-edge technology and interdisciplinary research to develop innovations to tackle plastic pollution. So, Policy Leadership category, Inspiration and Action category, Entrepreneurial Vision category, Science and Innovation category are the 4 types of categories which are chosen in this year for the awarding of Champions of the Earth Award, and the theme was to eliminate plastic pollution. Mayor Josefina Belmont of Quezon in Philippines under the Policy Leadership category, and Ellen MacArthur Foundation of the United Kingdom in Inspiration and Action category, Blue Circle of China and Jose Manuel Moller of Chile in Entrepreneurial Vision category, and the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research of South Africa in Science and Innovation category have received these Champions of the Earth Award for 2023 for tackling and also trying to eliminate the plastic pollution from the environment. Some important facts related to the pollution by plastic. Every year up to 23 million tons of plastic waste goes into the aquatic ecosystems and thereby polluting the lakes, water bodies, rivers and seas. 23 million tons of plastic waste goes into the aquatic ecosystems and it further affects and pollutes the lakes, water bodies, rivers and also seas. This is on a yearly basis. What are the India's initiatives or the measures taken by the Government of India to tackle the plastic pollution? The Indian government has imposed a ban on identified single-use plastics from 1st of July 2022. It also has introduced guidelines for extended producer responsibility through plastic waste. It also has incorporated Management Amendment Rules 2021. It also has launched India Plastics Pact in 2021 and a project Replan for reducing plastic from nature was also launched by the Indian government. Project Replan, reducing plastic from nature. Reducing plastic from nature. Project Plan is an initiative launched by the Government of India. India Plastics Pact was launched in 2021. Guidelines for extended producer responsibility through plastic waste and the ban on the identified single-use plastic in July 2022 are some of the initiatives and measures taken by the Government of India to tackle the plastic pollution in India. Also in news were the light combat helicopter called Prachand. Prachand, which is a light combat helicopter, was also in news. Why? Because the Indian Army has successfully test fired rockets and turret guns from the indigenous light combat helicopter by name Prachand. Prachand translates into fierce in English. It was introduced into the Indian Air Force in the year 2022. Now, the Indian Army has conducted successfully test fired the rockets and turret guns from the indigenous light combat helicopter Prachand. What is this light combat helicopter Prachand? It is a multi-role combat helicopter designed and developed indigenously by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has indigenously designed and also developed this light combat helicopter by name Prachand, which is of multi-role capability, and it is used for combat operations. Only attack helicopter in the world, light combat helicopter Prachand is the only attack helicopter in the entire world that can land and also take off at an altitude of 5,000 meters. This is the only attack helicopter. This is the only combat helicopter in the entire world which can land at an altitude of 5,000 meters and also can take off from an altitude of 5,000 meters. It is the specialty of this machine. It is also capable of firing air to ground and air to air missiles. This Prachand helicopter also has the capability of firing air to ground missiles and also air to air missiles. It is fitted with a 5.8 ton twin engine named as Shakti engine, primarily designed for deployment in high altitude areas like Siachen Glacier and also Ladakh. It has best stealth features, armored steel shield systems and dark mode attack capability. It also possesses the capability of attacking in dark environments, in dark situations. Also was in news was Limited Liability Partnership or LLP. New Limited Liability Partnership Third Amendment Rules 2023 was notified by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. The newly launched Limited Liability Partnership Amendment Rules of 2023 was notified by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and it has come into force. Now, what is this Limited Liability Partnership? Limited Liability Partnership is a hybrid between a company and a partnership. It is not a company and it is not a partnership, but it is a combination or a hybrid combination of both a company and a partnership. Limited Liability Partnership gives the benefits of limited liability of a company and also the flexibility of a partnership. It combines in it the benefits of a company which is limited liability and also it combines in it the flexibility of a partnership firm. Hence the name Limited Liability Partnership. It is governed by the Limited Liability Partnership Act of 2008 of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. What is the structure of a limited liability partnership? It is a body corporate and a legal entity separate from its partners. Who are its members? A minimum of 2 partners will be required for the formation of a limited liability partnership. However, there is no limit on the maximum numbers of partners. A minimum of 2 partners will be required for the establishment or formation of this limited liability partnership as a body corporate or as a legal entity. However, there is no limit on the maximum number of partners in this corporate entity. Limited Liability Partnership. World Trade Organization's Dispute Settlement Body or DSB was also in news. Dispute Settlement Body of the World Trade Organization. India has called for initiating formal talks on the World Trade Organization's Dispute Settlement Body and the reforms that needs to be implemented in the body. India has called for initiating a formal discussion or a formal talks for implementing reforms in the Dispute Settlement Body of the World Trade Organization. Now, what is DSB? The General Council of the World Trade Organization convenes as the Dispute Settlement Body. There is no special establishment of DSB. The General Council of the World Trade Organization itself convenes in the form of the Dispute Settlement Body, basically to deal with various disputes between the member countries of the World Trade Organization. What are the three main stages of the dispute settlement process of the Dispute Settlement Body of the World Trade Organization? One is the consultation stage, the other one is the adjudication stage, and the third one is the implementation stage. In the first stage, consultations will happen between the parties or the member countries or between those countries who have disputes. In the second stage, adjudication by the panels and, if applicable, by the appellate body. In the third stage, implementation of the ruling, which includes the possibility of countermeasures in the event of failure by the losing party to implement the ruling. So, consultations between the disputed members or disputing members, adjudication by the panels and if in case by the appellate body, and implementation of the ruling, and also exploring the possibility of countermeasures in case of failure of implementation of the ruling by the losing party. These are the three-stage process of the dispute settlement in the World Trade Organization's Dispute Settlement Body. Aralam Wildlife Sanctuary was also in news. It was reported that the Maoists have opened fire at the forest watchmen or watchers in the Aralam Wildlife Sanctuary. Some important basic information about this Aralam Wildlife Sanctuary. It was established or formed in the year 1984, located at the northernmost protected area of Kerala in Kannur district. This Aralam Wildlife Sanctuary is located in Kannur district of Kerala. Now, what is the type of forest that is available in the Aralam Wildlife Sanctuary? The West Coast Tropical Evergreen Forest, West Coast Semi-Evergreen Forest, South Indian Moist Deciduous Forest, and Southern Hilltop Evergreen Forest and plantations is the type of vegetation or forest that is witnessed in the Aralam Wildlife Sanctuary. Now, what is the fauna? Nilagiri wood, pigeon, columba, elphinstone and lion-tailed mark etc. are the various fauna that are seen in the Aralam Wildlife Sanctuary. It forms a watershed area of Chinakannipula and Urittipula rivers, which are tributaries of the river Valapattanam. Also in news was Kazind 2023. What is Kazind? It is an annual India and Kazakhstan joint military exercise. Kaz from Kazakhstan and Ind from India. Kazind 2023 is an annual India-Kazakhstan joint military exercises. Also in news were tripling renewable power and doubling energy efficiency by 2030. This report of tripling renewable power and doubling the energy efficiency by 2030. This report was jointly launched by the COP28 presidency country and the International Renewable Energy Agency IRENA and the Global Renewables Alliances on the sidelines of pre-COP event in Abu Dhabi. In 2023, the Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is scheduled to be held in Abu Dhabi of UAE. This is COP number 29. Whereas this report was jointly launched by the COP 28 presidency country in collaboration with the International Renewable Energy Agency or IRENA and Global Renewables Alliance, and this report was launched on the sidelines of the pre-COP event that was held in Abu Dhabi.